Welcome to
That's a
another episode of Angels, Positivity, and Love. Incredible experts the world over, fascinating backgrounds, often transformative experiences, everything from a near death experience to just opening up or opening openness or allowing the universe to come in. And for most of our guests, they've decided to give service to others. They're healers, they're authors, doctors, psychiatrists, or they're psychiatrists who are now hanging a shingle out as a healer. That's happened as well. We've had a White House physician or U.S. physician to the U.S. president, Rear Admiral, U.S. Navy retired, the youngest Delta Force operator, and many others. What most people probably don't know about the show is that most guests are taking steps before or after the show or during the show. That's 98% of our guests. We've probably just had a handful who have done nothing, and that's okay too. Love itself is what allows us to enjoy all the contrast in life, and so it goes with our guests as well. Today, a very special guest from the Gainesville area in Florida. We've spoken a bunch of times. She's super cool. She's had me as a guest on her show. She's a healer, she's a writer, and many other things. A show host, as I mentioned. It's Dee May, and I'm excited to have her on the show. Dee, great to see you again.
Thank you, Michael. It's great to see you again, too. I'm so excited you decided to have me as a guest. Thank you.
Well, thank you. You technically reached out and started this whole interaction months ago, and it's been a chain reaction of events that have been very pleasant. So I have to thank you deeply for the interactions. I've loved it. Let's start off with some basics for the audience. Is the universe really big? Yes or no?
Oh my gosh, it's infinite.
And
It's infinite.
is love the fabric of the universe?
Absolutely. Absolutely. 100% without fear of contradiction.
And is it possible angels exist? And if they do, could you share one of those stories? It might be some detail here, but can you share a time that an angel might have been in human form and helped you or intercepted you to keep you from doing this? And what story do you have for us?
Yes, I do believe angels exist, and I've had multiple experiences with them. But the one that comes to mind in physical form is one time it was back when I was married and our kids were young, and we went on this vacation to the mountains. And when we were coming down the mountain, our brakes went out. And at the bottom of this particular road was a 6-lane highway that went like 3 lanes in both directions. It was a huge highway. So we're coming down this mountain and no brakes. Like, what are we going to do? Because this cross highways in front of us. So there's going to be traffic. The chances of you getting to the bottom and you having the green light, are just about impossible. So we get towards the bottom of the mountain right before we get to the road. All of a sudden there's like this old car in front of us. The old cars that were actually made of metal back in the day. They're real heavy and have like a long trunk and a long hood. They're just really like tanks almost. And you could barely see this little old lady's head sticking above the seat in the driver's seat. And we hit her. She stopped us from going into that road. And then when the light turned green, she went around and then she was just gone. She was just gone. And we stopped and looked at the car to see if there was any damage, and there was no damage, not a scratch. And I mean, we tapped her hard, but she stopped our car from going. We would have probably all been, maybe killed, but definitely seriously injured. So, and that car was gone, and there was no way that car just disappeared. As big as it was, you would have been able to see it going down the road, but no, it was just gone.
And you flash back to this a lot during life or recently at all? And how did you check it out to make sure? Have you heard from an angel? It was a certain angel. And can I put up an angel to hear who was the driver of that vehicle? You don't have to share it out loud, but if you do get an answer, say got it. And if you do want to share a name, share the name.
Yeah, I don't know her. I don't know her. It was just a look like a little lady, but I don't know that I'm getting a name for her.
Does Joy say
But yeah,
it was an angel at the time?
yes. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Fascinating experience. And I've had other ones too, where, the most recent one I've had is where I was journaling and listening to a podcast one morning of another lady, and she was talking about angels, and she was talking about different ones, and then she got to the angel Uriel, and I actually felt Uriel come and stand beside me. I couldn't even look at him because just the amount of love that I felt, it was so big. Like I just started crying. These big fat tears were falling on my, as I'm journaling on my notepad, and I just felt him there. And then he said the strangest thing to me. It's so weird because he talked about himself in the third person, and he said, Uriel is your friend. And I was like, oh my God, I'm like bawling. Oh my God, I have a friend and it's Uriel, the angel. That's just an archangel even, like I was just so amazed, but I couldn't even look at him because just the amount of love from him just being there. And I can't even imagine that he allowed me to feel the full impact of it, because I don't know that our human bodies could handle feeling the full impact of that much love at one time. I just feel like we would just like I don't know, but it was really amazing.
Okay, tell us a little bit about when you started off being intuitive. When did you know you were connected? I'm not asking it the right way, but when were you first aware of a connection to everything? How about that?
Yeah, so I feel like I've always kind of felt like I don't fit in anywhere. Like I've always been kind of an oddball, so to speak, or weird. A lot of people called me weird when I was growing up, but when I was very young, like maybe 4 or 5, I saw my first spirit. So I see spirit, and I experience spirit in every single way you possibly can, like the orbs and the shadowy figures, and full on like a human is standing next to me type of thing, all of it. I hear the voices, I smell the smells, I taste, all of it, all of it. And I feel extremely blessed. But I first became aware of it when I saw my first spirit when I was about 4 or 5 years old. So I've known for a long time.
Hmm.
But I was raised in a really religious family, and it wasn't accepted. You didn't even really talk about stuff like that because it was going to send you to hell, like you were just going to burn up for the rest of your life if you even talked about it. So there's no way that I was in this atmosphere of acceptance or being able to grow my gifts or even understand what I was seeing or experiencing, because it wasn't that way for me. So for the longest time, I didn't delve into it too much, even though I never stopped being able to experience it. Some people are really afraid. They have all these experiences where they saw a ghost when they were little, or and they're very afraid. And I never had that. I never ever had a fear around it, not one time ever. And I'm 55, well, fixing to be 55 next month now. So that's a long time to be able to do these and experience these kinds of things and never have any fear around it. So it's been very interesting.
Hmm. Okay, talk to us about your 20s. Was there a time where you just went for life itself and you were ignoring all the intuitiveness and all the possibility that being connected to the universe offers?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I was so involved in being a parent because I became a parent when I was 18. So, I was so involved in being a parent and doing those kinds of things. I still saw spirit from time to time, still had experiences, but as far as pursuing it, I was too busy with my children and working and all of the things of, early parenthood. And quite honestly, I didn't know what to do with it. And I was really afraid because of the religious way I was raised. I was really afraid to even explore it because I thought, where's this going to take me except to the depths of hell, according to what I've been taught my entire life? So I didn't really turn my back on it, but I kind of put it in a drawer, I guess would be a better way to put it. And knew that it was there and that I still experienced those things, but I didn't allow myself to go deeper with it, and I had a knowing. Actually, what's really interesting is before I ended up getting divorced, there was a few years before that, there was this situation that was going on with my parents. There was so many dynamics, and I'm not going to go into all that, but suffice it to say that one day I could see this whole situation playing out with my mom and dad, with these other people that were involved. And my dad came over one day and we talked about it just one-on-one, my dad and me, or my dad and I, however that goes, whatever English is proper right there. And I told him, I'm like, everything. I told him exactly what was going to happen, how it was going to happen, what was going to happen, when it happened, everything. I laid it all out. And it took way longer than I thought it was going to. It actually ended up taking about 9 years for it all to play out. But it happened exactly like I said it was going to happen. You know, it was just, I just felt it in my soul. I just knew that it was going to happen that way. So there were experiences during that time that I wasn't really fully embracing it, because I feel like if you're really highly connected, that nothing is going to stop at least some of those experiences from happening, whether you want them to or not. These people that are like, oh, I shut it down and I haven't had an experience. I don't know how they do that, because I don't feel like I could have done that even if I had sat down and intentionally said, I'm not going to experience anything. Y'all leave me the F alone. You know, I just don't feel like it would have ever, they'd have been like, well, you can try. That's kind of how I feel about it for myself. So some of those experiences still came through for me, even though I wasn't seeking them out or consciously connecting.
And take us to today. You're a healer, show host, and more, artist, writer, but you do a lot of stuff for different people. But at that, even your growth hasn't stopped. So you're just in another stage. Where are you today? Where do you see yourself being in the future?
Oh my gosh. It was, well, I would like to rewind just a little bit to about 14 years ago. I had my first intuitive reading by this man who's an American monk named Stephen Harefield. He gave me my very first intuitive reading ever. And my life was a bumpy, rocky mess. You know, it was just a mess. And he said to me, he's like, one of these days, you're going to do what I do. And you're going to, and I'm thinking, there's no way in hell. I just did not see it at all for myself then. And he said, but until you fully embrace your spirituality and the path that you're supposed to be on, your life is going to remain rocky. And let me just tell you, he was not wrong. I mean, I dug my heels in and I was like, I'm not going down that road. I'm not doing that. And then I got in this really, really toxic relationship after I came back to Florida. I mean, it was my other two were toxic too, but this one was like the worst. He was physically and emotionally abusive. He was a total narcissist, or is a total narcissist. And it was awful. And it was during, and you know, I don't know if you know much about abuse, domestic violence. Most people who are victims of domestic violence, women especially, end up going back to their abusers an average of 7 times before they actually leave for good. And so I had left and gone back, left and gone back. And finally, I discovered, I thought, I've got to do something to get myself stronger, right? So I can get out of this relationship and stay out. So that's when I really started going inside myself and learning more about myself really deeply, discovering people like Bob Proctor, Mary Morrissey, Wayne Dyer. Wayne Dyer became my rock. I listen, and I still love to listen to him sometimes just so I can hear his voice. And that's when I really started making the change. And then I got out of that relationship, and it's been exponential growth ever since then. I mean, exponential growth, especially within the last year and a half of my life. It's been, I don't want it, I don't want the smackdown anymore. That's what I call the time of my life where I was like really had to make that pivotal decision to change things. And I felt it felt like a smackdown to me, because we get the gentle nudges that just like, hey, you know, it might be a good idea if you do this. And, you know, and then we get harder nudges. And when we don't do that, when we don't follow our soul's path, when we don't listen to the universe and make those choices that we know are going to benefit ourselves because we're afraid, you know, we don't know that unknown, and change doesn't happen in the comfort zone. That's what I always say. Change doesn't happen in the comfort zone. And the comfort zone doesn't mean you're necessarily comfortable where you are, but that it's familiar to you. You might not like the situation you're in, but you know what to expect every day in your life. So it becomes a comfortable place because of that familiarity. And growth doesn't happen there. We have to get out of that. We have to expand beyond it. And now, like where I'm at now, holy crap. I mean, I just feel like a firework that's been lit. You know what I mean? And it's just, I feel like that's where my life is. Just I'm exploding, having all of these epiphanies and learning so much about myself. And I don't feel like I know the depth of that yet. You know what I mean? I feel like I'm just really stepping into myself. And I know everyone likes to say step into your power. And I understand that, but it's to me, I've changed that to stepping into myself, because this is my highest self that I'm stepping into. This is the me that is so connected. And to me, it's not about power as much as it's about love and being able to share that, and having the gratitude for being able to see things in the beautiful way, even the most like ridiculously small things that most people would walk past and never even see. And I can look at those and be so fascinated by them and feel so much gratitude that those things even exist in this world. Like how amazing is that? And I would encourage people, just stop walking by things, slow down, see things, because I've watched people. I love watching people because it's so fascinating to me. But most people walk through life and they don't even see anything, and it's just like, slow down. There's so much to see, so many things to experience, not through the lens of our phones, for God's sakes, but for real, like things that we can smell and touch, and you know that are one-time things. Like every single sunrise is different than the one before it, and will be the one after it. They're never the same. So it's like you get this like custom made moment. And so many of us just don't even notice it. We don't even see that it's even there. And then all of a sudden it's noon and all we know is it's hot and the sun is out. That's all we know. But we completely miss this beautiful custom painting that we had, just unfolding in front of us. It's incredible.
Endless limits of being in the now, more compassion available, trillions of layers of up the piano key versus lower density vibration. Three quotes come to mind, or at least two quotes plus a quick footnote. Mother Teresa said recently, in the last 5 years, compassion for many is like a deep breath, because we're running around in the rat races up here. We got jobs, bills to pay, places to be, we're late. And taking a breath is about the closest we're going to get to our own heart half the time out there. Welcome to your brain. Welcome to being busy. A NASA astronaut, Story Musgrave, to tie back into what you just said and were explaining to us, getting out of the comfortable path. That's what exploration is all about. You've been exploring. And then lastly, looking back to 2024, episode 127 from Australia in October was Melanie Tonya Evans, and she's all about narcissism, obviously spirituality and stuff like that, but helping women get out of their situations, get out of their own way to walk a smoother path and be more love. Talk to us more about you walking a smoother path today and just allowing more. What's this all about again?
No expectations. And that's really difficult for some people. And it was for me too, because I'm a Virgo sun and a Capricorn moon. So like my feet were like in my mind totally analytical. And I can't say my feet were firmly planted on the ground because I'm so connected with the galactic. I love floating around in the stars. And that's a whole nother story about how I had to make friends with my physical self. But it's no expectations, allowing there to be room for movement. We are so much a this or that society that we limit all of these possibilities that can happen in between the this or that, or even outside of those two things. and it's being able to allow things to look different for me than what I thought they would, and just listening to my soul. Because I started my coaching journey, and I'm not even really a coach now. I'm more of a mentor than a coach, and a healer, and so many things that I don't feel like the word coach fits me anymore. But on my journey, I had this like vision of what it was going to look like. I was going to do this, and I couldn't make myself do it. And I'm like, why can't I make myself do it? Like, it's not that the program's not good. It's not that it's not good information. It's not that it's not needed or anything like that, but I couldn't make myself do it. So I had to sit with that and go, why? Why isn't it coming forward? Why am I in this like perpetual state of procrastination, which is something we beat ourselves up over, right? And so I had to allow room for it to evolve. And it's done nothing but evolve ever since I started into this path at all. I've spent money that I don't use. I don't use those things anymore. I've learned lessons. I had to really talk to myself about wasting the money and, beating myself up over that, because did I learn something? Yes. Well, I learned, like what did, is it Einstein, that I always forget? Einstein developed the light bulb, and he said, I didn't fail a thousand plus
Thomas Edison.
times.
Yeah, Thomas Edison. Yeah.
Thomas Edison. See, I always get it mixed up. I didn't fail a thousand plus times in making a light bulb. I learned a thousand plus ways not to make a light bulb. So it's about how we look at things and choosing to see the positive. And okay, like for instance, we were without electricity. The little hurricane came through. We were in the impact zone, and we lost electricity for 3 days. Well, by day 3, it was 98 degrees outside. And that makes a really hot house if you don't have AC, just in case you were wondering. And, so I'm like, okay, it's day 3. And I didn't complain the whole time, because it's like I was so in gratitude that we had a generator, and we had our refrigerator plugged in and our freezer, so we weren't losing our food. I had a fan. I was able to, like do all of the things that I needed to do, water in buckets, extra water, so that we could flush the toilet and brush my teeth and all of the things like that. And so I'm laying out on the couch with ice packs on my body, literally ice packs on my body, because I'm just so hot. And we don't have any shade on our property, because we have really no tree. We have 2 small palm trees. That's it. And so I went out on the front porch the morning of the 3rd day, and have my coffee, and I'm listening to this tarot reading that of this lady that I listen to. And then after that goes off, I just sit there, and I'm like meditating, and I'm not really meditating, but I'm in a meditative state of mind, if that makes sense. And I go, okay, what is this teaching me? What am I learning in this moment with the no AC and the no power, no running water right now? What am I learning? And it was so amazing to me. The answer was deeper gratitude, because I feel like I'm already a very grateful person. And it was so impactful for me to realize there are still things you're missing, Dee. There are still things that you don't even think about. Flushing the toilet with the push of a handle instead of having to use a bucket of water to force flush it. We don't think about that. Having running water to brush your teeth instead of pouring water out of a bottle like you do when you're camping. Running water to take a shower and things like that. There's so many things. AC, how you come in out of the heat and you're like, oh, that feels good, but you don't even think about it. Like really, really think about that. When you walk into your house and you have AC, really, truly allow that to sink into your soul, that you're not hot, that you can sleep and breathe easier and not be all sweaty and wake up feeling like you have a headache because it's so hot. I mean, we don't think about it. We just do. And all of these beautiful things are in place that we never even acknowledge. And it was just so impactful to me to just realize that no matter how deep we think we are, we can always go deeper.
Talk to us about angels. What angels are you closest to? How would you describe angels? What do we need to keep in mind? Can we really ask about anything? Can we get help with anything? What are the basics we need to know?
Yeah, so my biggest advice to people is let it be easy, and it doesn't have to be fancy. I feel like some people think that, and I have a deep reverence for angels. I am so respectful, and I think being respectful is and reverent and having that just respect for them, but it doesn't have to be fancy. We don't have to do this big, long ritual or make it complicated or think that we're not worthy because we all are, and we all have them on standby. All we have to do is ask. They're always there for us to ask, and they help us. And I used to be the girl that wouldn't ask for their help because I thought, I can, if I can't do it on my own, then it doesn't need to be done or can't be done, you know. And then I started asking the angels for help, and oh my gosh, life got so much easier and so much less complicated, and the clarity was there. And my personal angels, of course, I mentioned Uriel to you earlier. Uriel is a very, he's just like there. He's like my little sun god that's always hanging out, making things happy and light. But, there are the archangels that have specific specialties, like Raphael is for healing, Michael is for cutting things away and protection and things like that. So, but any angel can help you. You don't have to know their name. You can just simply say, whatever angels that specializes in healing, I'm asking you to come in and help with this right now. It doesn't have to be fancy, as long as our intentions are pure and we're being reverent and respectful when we ask for help. My personal angels, of course, a lot are people who have are family members of mine who have crossed over. And when you and I were having our little, I shouldn't say little, our very, very large chat earlier, our very big, expansive chat that was incredibly amazing, you mentioned firefighters. And I actually have a cousin who was a firefighter and actually was hit on his way to respond to a fire, and that's how he actually died. And so he was actually the first person that of my family that I was actually cognizantly aware is always there helping me, guiding me, which is so interesting to me because we weren't really that close when he was earthbound. We didn't live around each other. We weren't like messaging each other all the time. So I just like for people to know that it doesn't have to be someone that is physically close to you. It can be someone who just chooses you as their person that they're going to take care of, and I have two grandboys that are crossed over. They come and help with things. My mom and dad are pivotal in my business, pivotal. And, you always have like people ask about like when someone crosses over, do they still have the same kind of personality? They'll come to you as something that you recognize, so yes, it's more of a lot of the same type of personality, but it's not always exactly the same because my dad didn't cuss on this earth, but now he does, which is funny because it's like there's no judgment and there's all this love. And so he comes and he'll like, like one day he said, like he usually comes on my left side and he said the word shit. And I like looked over, I'm like, did you just say shit? Like you don't talk like that. But now they don't care because there's no judgment, but he keeps me straight. He on my business, him and my mom. So yeah, it's absolutely amazing how they just come through and you'll feel them, and I think that's one of the things I really encourage people to just allow yourself to feel those experiences and to see the signs and not explain them away with your logical mind, because we do so much of that and we're getting so much assistance and so much guidance and so many messages. And most of us, like I said, we don't see. We have like this laser focus on what we're supposed to be doing, that we miss all of this stuff. So just simply allowing yourself to experience those things. And the more you allow that, the more of it keeps happening and the more you notice it and you'll be like, oh, that thing. And, like even had a friend one time, she's like, oh my God, Dee, not everything's a sign. But it is a sign. And if you allow yourself to embrace that thought, then so many more of those moments come to you and you find out you're not nearly as alone as you think you are.
Brilliant. Are you ready to catch some sage? I'm going to light some sage in Texas and send it to you through 2 screens in Florida. This is a staple of the show. If you're just tuning in, guests often take steps with angels later in the show. It's not a must. And sometimes I forget. Sometimes I think I've forgotten twice we have 250 plus shows booked into July, August of 2025 at this point when we're taping right now. But I mean, I forget. I get the guest on and I'm like, whoa, they're incredible. And I forget to do anything. But I'm going to light some sage. If anybody wants to set their intent at home, it's really easy to set your intent. Just ask angels, the universe, to get you out of your head into your heart and make it nice. Add a thank you, amen, rock and roll, om sai ram if you're from India. I'm going to light some sage. If you're hyper intuitive, you might already start tasting it. When you see some smoke, smell it. Why go for linear and just get sage? Not that sage isn't amazing. You can ask for sage and flowers. So sage, flowers, and even ocean if you want to get all 3. Dee, are you already getting the sage in Florida?
I am.
We've already done
Yes.
this like twice before today, so we know it's going to work. But are you getting any flowers? Can you ask for flowers as well? What flowers are you getting?
Yeah, so I smell plumeria, and like beach. Maybe it's because we talked about the beach earlier, but yeah, that beach smell is coming in too.
Oh, trifecta! I love it. You've been way on today, like crazy, way on. And so way to go. I'm going to put up 4 archangels in a photo, and I normally never explain who's who, but it's Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, Uriel. And the one that's over here, whoop, got to get my finger on the right side of the photo. The one that's by itself is Michael, and then up high is Raphael. At the end is Uriel, and then the one in front of Uriel is Gabriel. It's not important who's who. But just if you want to put your hand out and feel the vibe, if you want to catch, let's juggle 7 balls at once. Have the whole room filled with a higher vibe, kind of a Jamaican limbo moment, festival feeling. And breathe, 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 get flowers, get ocean spray, get wave action, and then hear a little advice for all of us from 4 archangels, including some of your faves. What are they reminding us all to do more of or to let go of?
Oh, to love each other more, let go of the judgment. Yeah.
And Mother Teresa reminded us of all that. If you love people, you have no time to judge them, or she said it the other way around. If you judge people, you have no time to love them. The opportunity is love. The opportunity is not more thinking, knowing to the preclusion of possibility, and all the rest of the fluff that we do. Here's an angel named Joy. She's got something special for you private. Keep it to yourself. And then what does she have for us all to remember?
Have fun. She said, have fun.
I've got a Charlotte for you. What Charlotte got as a reminder, but catch ancient Egyptian incense coming in that you can't buy from any store. So this is thousands of years old, very mystical, and like you're like, whoa, goes to the foundation.
Yeah.
You
She
getting that?
said, be kind, be
She says,
kind.
be kind. And
Yeah.
you got that incense okay, right?
Yes. Oh, I love it.
Here's Min, my guardian angel, other people's guardian angel. She's light waves of energy and water, soft-spoken professor, actual silhouette of an angel for folks. Very galactic background, serious. Not trying to be too serious here. What does she have as a reminder? Min, which is the Lakota Sioux word for water.
Breathe.
I like it. With all that we've just done, what's your personal reminder for us all?
Allow room for movement and flow. Don't be so, allow room for movement and flow. Be like the water.
And I have Michael, one way direct. What's Michael got as a reminder for us all?
Trust in your own strength. Yeah.
And Gabriel, we'll do one or two more after this, and then we'll switch back to a more normal show. What's Gabriel saying?
I feel like it's a repeating message, but love one another. Yeah. We need so much more of that right now, especially.
And Angel said at one point, compassion for all is life. This is also about acceptance for all. Regard others
Mhm.
as yourself generously and without fixation. Believe in all. So it doesn't matter if they're a New York Jets fan and you're a Tampa Bay Buccaneers fan, or Jacksonville Jaguars, or Miami Dolphins. It's okay. It's
Yes.
love is what allows us to appreciate all the contrast. And as soon as you realize what this is energetically, a waste of energy versus what love is, love's all you're going to remember on your last breath as you transition. Okay, a couple more
Yes.
figures for you. I've got a fairy named Ginger, high-pitched voice, wee. What does she have as a reminder for us all?
Remember how you were when you were a kid. That's what I feel from her. Like, remember how you were when you were a kid.
Okay,
Like,
and
and allow yourself to feel like that. We forget.
I feel like that's a big one, a really big one, and I love that you're saying it today in this interview. Can I do one more galactic figure, an Arcturian? They can try to hack human humor. It's a 50% flub, 50% it works. It's funny. They're not humorous human style, but so we're talking a non-human, but loving being here to help. Are you cool with the galactic figure? I've got a drawing I'll put up.
Absolutely.
Okay. So here's an
Yeah.
Arcturian. Don't have a name, it doesn't matter. It'll go straight to him, even though they all look alike. So here's the Arcturian. And what are you getting? Sorry about all the glare, but what are you getting from him? It should be a high vibe. Anybody who's having trouble, you might just get a humming high pitch in your ears. But you can do this at home. He says his head, by the way, is too bulbous by just a little bit in the back, a little less of an egg in the back like that. So I'll put it up higher like this to crop it out. And now what's he
You
got?
know, okay, so the first word that came to me was love, but then be kind to the earth, because I feel like that's huge. Some of us have trouble with that, unfortunately, but be love and be kind to the earth.
And then
Yeah,
let's do
Mother
one.
Gaia.
I love that. Let's do one more thing. This will be you and I connecting. I'll put my palm up in Texas. You put your palm up in Florida. Only our highest intent, not our bill paying side, not all the stuff that goes on up here. Well, but I know my neighbor 5 doors down is a jerk. Or I know this person at work is a jerk. Or I know this sports team is no bueno. And there's no way that person could really be rooting for my opponent. Okay. Love and above for you too. Angels are connecting us. Tell us what you feel on your palm or your fingers. People can do this as well. It could be 2030, you're in Germany, you're in Czechoslovakia or Czech Republic, you're in Japan, watching from a Tokyo hotel, and you put your hand up. It doesn't matter about time and space. It's just love, 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 love. Ben Stiller and the Heartbreak Kid. What do you feel in your palm or fingers or you?
Yes. So I feel like a little bit of weight, almost like your hand is pushing against my hand, and some warmth and tingles at the ends of my fingers.
Oh, and I'm reaching over for Joy, and hopefully she's right here, and she almost is. Here's Joy. Just here, you've got this. I'm going to whoosh you rainbow light 3 times, low, medium, and high. But you can make it high, high, high if you want the whole time. This hand's the whoosher. It's Blame Angels, not Canada. It's all going to be rainbow light. It can go up and down your back like a piano scale keys on your chakras, your Hindu chakras, whatever the light things are on your back, whatever those are. You know what they are. Here it comes, the first one. Anybody needs help, breathe more through the mouth. It's like turning up the stereo volume. Here's the first one. I'll blow, my microphone's up here. You'll get a little Hawaii in the air. And Dee, did you feel that one? Can you use words to describe what you got?
Just almost like a smooth pressure that just, yeah.
And now ask her to turn up the volume. It's going to be medium or higher. Here it comes again. You get a double blow. You might not be able to hear it, but at least I'm looking like I'm doing this. Get a little Hawaiian sea spritz on your nose. Blame angels for this. Here we go. Was it bigger?
Yes, bigger. And I felt some tingles on the back of my head.
Okay. Now, if anybody's got a writing project or 20 or 50 to do before the year's out, they got to run a marathon, they want to start running, they got to just go on vacation. They haven't taken one in 7 years. Why not put that out to the universe that you could use a little momentum, wind at the back, energy up the back, and go big or go home? Now, Dee already we know is at home, so she should go big. Here you've got this from Joy. Close your eyes if you have to at home, but I don't think you need to. Open your eyes. Why not? There's no difference. Here we go. Nice and big, tsunami, lots of wind, but a pleasant tsunami of love. And what happened there?
I felt a lot of warmth that time. Yeah.
We'll put our hands down now. Okay, so round us out. This thing called life, it's big, it's happening.
Yeah.
We do our best to kind of duck and cover and even run. And sometimes we think we're doing stuff the quote right way, societal way,
Yeah.
but we're not listening to what life's trying to tell us. What's your advice to all of us about just paying attention more?
Yeah. So pay attention more and give yourself grace. I mean, that is so big because we don't always, but a lot of times we beat ourselves up. We have this crazy negative internal dialogue. So allowing ourselves to give ourselves grace. And I always say, be your own best friend. You know, if you wouldn't say it to your best friend, don't say it to yourself, you know? And really, I mean, if we don't get that thing done, what is the worst thing that's going to happen? Most of the time, it's not as big of a deal as we think it is. So just giving ourselves grace and being our own best friend. If you would give yourself the advice you would give your friend, you know, and allow yourself to take that in and really internalize it instead of give yourself some love. I mean, we've been talking about love. Give yourself some love. Give some of that love to yourself that you give to everyone else, you know? Yeah.
Okay, I got one final angel. I lied, but I'm not holding up a photo. Her name's Grace. And you can just close your eyes. She's rainbow light. She's the proverbial Grace. That's why she's got the name Grace. There's a harmony, a faith, a hope, a joy. You get the idea. There's a Presley, who's the interconnectedness of all. She got stuck with a really tough assignment and no easy first name out of that one. My cat's named after Presley. My dog is named after Joy. Let's get back to Grace. See rainbow light on your eyes. Your eyes are shut. People can do this at home. Call it third eye if you want. Just call it seeing with your eyes shut. Anybody wants to open your eyes and see rainbow light all around the room, you can do it. Why not? Why not? What are you allowing for daily? That's my last message at this end. But because you're a show host, you're going to wrap this up with Grace. And in a moment, you're going to, oh, you already got her. What's Grace got for us all for one other last reminder? And then you're closing out this show because you're a professional show host. You're a healer. People can come to you. You're going to help them get sorted. End of story. What's Grace got as a reminder that you're like, oh yeah, let's talk about that?
Yeah, compassion, I guess, is the other big key word that we should talk about today is, you know, love, compassion, grace. It all, you know, is like the trifecta. You used that word earlier today. It's the trifecta, right? Love, compassion, grace.
I'll add 3 definitions of compassion for folks from Jesus and some angels. Jesus said around 2014, compassion is open eyes and open heart. And then Raphael, Archangel Raphael said, compassion is releasing fears and judgments. And then an angel named Dale said, compassion is just being and trusting the outcome to be of the highest intent for all. And if there's one quote, it's the last one that I think you've been telling us this whole time. So thank you for everything you've shared today. Dee May in Florida, you've been wonderful. Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you for having me. And thank you everyone for joining us. I really appreciate you.